Do you think an average Nigerian can survive a year out of job?
I don't think I know statistically an average Nigerian can survive 3 days out of job. Yeah, cause
3 days.
Yeah, they can't. Because most Nigerians survive on menial labor. So most Nigerians have to earn their daily 2K survive.
And the savings culture is not.
You can't even save. You're earning enough to eat. Maybe most people can't even buy bread. I was going to say buy bread to take home, but this is so bad now because most people can't even buy bread to take home. But yeah, it's a very serious situation, and I hope that we can contribute to it. Some of the things we're doing to solve some of these problems.
Welcome to Founders Diary, and today I have a very special guest, my friend Uyoyo CEO. He's the CEO of CNGN, and that's the first approved regulated Naira stablecoin in Nigeria. Welcome, Uyoyo.
Thank you. Thank you.
How's it going?
Good. Great to be here.
Thank you for coming. We have a very well schedule. Oh yeah, thank you. What should we be talking about today?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think we should freestyle.
I've spoken to ChatGPT and I have a few topics here today. But the interesting one for me is spontaneous financing.
Okay. And then I also like to talk about money, just the history of money, where money is today and where money is going. And then love, what love means to us.
What's that song by Ashake? Why Love? My tide, sabi girl. Okay, interesting. So yeah, spontaneous financing. So I have this contextual meaning of spontaneous financing. I'm going to talk about it as an individual and also from a business perspective, right? So for an individual is literally having to spend the money that you don't have, or spending money based on impulse, and because we are in a cash economy, and I'm referring to Nigeria now, spending money feels instant because you have to get it as cash, right? And I remember when I was in the bank, people spend the money that they don't have. Think of credit card. Mm-hmm. You have a loaded credit card that you're supposed to just spend a percentage of it and then just pay back from your salary. But you have a situation where people are maxed out their credit cards, and it becomes a cycle because when the time falls, when you earn your salary, you have to then almost wipe out all of your salaries to pay back your credit card.
Those consistently servicing.
Yes, and you're going to be in that loop. It gets worse because when you work in a bank and you get access to cheap credit, at some point you max it out. And once you max it out, you start going outside the bank to get expensive funds. So imagine as a staff, you have access to 1% per month, 1.5% or 2% per month. And now you're having to go out to take 7, 10%, and 1% per month. So that's what it does, right? And I think it is because predominantly we're a cash economy, and you have to have cash to buy things. Unlike Europe, where you can just start out your payment and stuff like that. Sure. That's for me a big challenge right now.
Well, I guess why are we a cash economy?
Because I would just think of PNPL. I applaud the guys in that space, because I understand you can debit people, we can go through that behavior and stuff. But in Nigeria, we don't have that much of a clean data. They work in progress. Everything is fragmented. We've had multiple games trying to harmonize citizens' data, but they don't continue. So think of it.
Was it points?
Yeah, NIN, DBN, driver's license, international passport, voter's card. So many things that are not harmonized and fragmented, such that you're not connected. So there's something called omnichannel where all of your data points are just in one place. And just think of when you go to a bank, when you use the POS, when you use the internet banking, it's still the same use, even though there are different touch points. So, but when you look at it from a data perspective in Nigeria, there's no data centricity. So, because there's no clean data, how do I know how to track you? So, when you get to the app, so like Dubai, if if you get into trouble and you want to fly out, they'll pick you up at the airport because your data is everywhere. But in Nigeria, I think we aren't there yet, so it's a working, and that also gives us a lot of opportunity because like there's something to do to build our infrastructure and rely. And I think because of that data issue, right, the offer for credit is not, so if you look at it from a pyramid, like the retail structure, it's majorly to the upper class, the middle class, HNIs, the HNIs are very professional. They have data points that they have stable jobs and you can track them. So that's why I think one of the major reasons why the credit system is not sure. And of course, when you also look at the job ecosystem, I think a lot of people experience frictional unemployment. When you leave your job right now, how do you even get out of that job? Like, how long are you going to stay out of job? So if you are in a credit economy and you're taking a phone and you're out of job, how do you pay back? Right?
Yeah.
So I think
and there's no government support, no safety.
Yeah, no subsidies.
So once you're out of money, you're out of money.
You're out of money. Right. So I think there's so many other reasons.
Of course.
Off the top of my head, data and what the job ecosystem looks like.
It's not about the market. I mean, I definitely agree, and I would add enforcement. Yeah, I think in general, law enforcement in Nigeria, and even beyond the current situation, even on like a structural, fundamental basis.
Okay.
Culturally, we, like a husband would do something, and they say, "I pity him now," or what, your wife does something, I know you married, just please now. And we have a culture of maybe too much, a culture of very little consequences for action.
Okay.
Such that on the base level, we are quick to say, let's not enforce. Okay. Let's forgive this case. Let's move forward. But beyond that, I think in general, the Nigerian society, we tend not to enforce as much as we should. Right? In a company, you might have rules, strict rules, but if HR has like a soft spot for you, or even just the CEO or somebody, you're very easy to go.
Yeah.
You go scot-free. Even when in some respects, I'd say, but in general, it's just we have a soft spot for forgiving people that don't follow rules. It's like, his wife was this, his son was that, his brother was his mother, his grandmother, his mother-in-law. Exactly. So what then that leads to systematically is, that you can owe, and more or less nothing happens to you. You can.
It can be caught for years.
That's part of the law enforcement issues. Yeah, because justice delayed sometimes is justice denied. But in our system, like I'm working on a case, I don't talk too deeply about it, but there's an accident, and the guy was killed, and there are videos of the killing. And you have the family on the other side coming to beg.
Okay.
Beg for what? Yes, and beg for.
Yeah.
Like an action happened. There ought to be consequences for that action, right?
I know.
But yeah, so I think because if you look at the Chinese society, Chinese partners can loan front without any collateral their partner $1 billion, $2 billion, $100 million. Yes, exactly. And you know that the amount of hoops that person has to go through to escape, because as a society, once you default on that handshake, there are very serious consequences as a society.
As a son.
Once you default on that handshake, your children will suffer for it. Right? But Nigeria, we're in a system where you can default and you're still sitting down and laughing, right? I've been in situations where obviously maybe an exchange or a business, a fintech has gone down because the founders or the people acted carelessly and they've lost customer money, or they've lost people's money. But then the ecosystem might be smiling with you in a gathering and everybody's happy, so very, very little consequence. So I think at the base level, it's because there's no consequences. People are keen to do whatever favors them the most, right? Even if that's short-term, bottom line, they're happy to take it.
Fair point. Interestingly, I also have a similar case of, fintech going down with people's money, and
nothing happens. Nothing happens. Yeah.
So I think happens. 3 points are quite important.
Yeah.
The judicial system.
Yeah.
Data centricity. And what the general job market looks like.
Yeah.
Can an average minimum wage afford you to even be
survive
out? To be able to take, and I'm not just even saying like to do a lot of things. I'm saying physiological need, basic Abraham Maslow hierarchy. It's like
that's the bottom of the pyramid.
Bottom of the pyramid, basic things to survive. So
even in Nigerian middle class, you still struggle with those basics.
Yeah, let me tell you this funny thing. I had from pastor. I told you about it. They broke me down the evolution of like wealth, and from broke me down to comfortable to some other things. But then the last one is what is interesting to me, which is flourish. So what I'm trying to say is that even the middle class aren't really, they don't have the parameters or the features of middle class. So it's almost like they're about to imagine middle class. So things are not, I think structurally we need to adjust a few things.
Agreed.
Yeah. So yeah.
Agreed. It's a difficult situation in general as far as many people want to live hand to mouth.
Yes.
And what that means is in living hand to mouth, one, you're not necessarily improving the standard if you live in month on month or year on year. But also it means that once anything happens to your grandmother or your auntie or your sister or your brother or your uncle or somebody, then you've gone from living hand to mouth to living hand to mouth plus minus whatever you had to borrow to take care of that emergency.
Yeah.
So you then start to get into this deep circle.
Emergency funds. Do you think an average Nigerian can survive a year out of job?
I don't think I know statistically an average Nigerian can survive 3 days out of job. Yeah, cause
3 days.
Yeah, they can't. Because most Nigerians survive on menial labor, right?
Okay.
So most Nigerians have to earn their daily 2K to survive. So
and the savings culture is not.
You can't even save. Right. So you're earning enough to eat. Maybe most people can't even buy bread. I was going to say buy bread to take home, but this is so bad now because most people can't even buy bread to take home. But it's a very serious situation, and I hope that we can contribute with some of the things we're doing to solve some of these problems.
I mean, we will share this again. I think that the future is on chain.
Agreed.
Because when you're on chain, you are trackable, you're auditable.
Agreed.
And things are immutable. You can't just
switch things around. 100%.
So there's data centricity on chain.
Agreed.
So that might be the solution.
It is I'll say this. Sorry, no, you hit the nail. Because to me, that's the key reason crypto flourishes so well in Nigeria and Africa.
Okay.
Is that finally you have a system that requires almost zero trust. Because Nigeria is such a low trust society.
Yeah.
That in many instances, even banks cannot trust themselves. Correct. So you need a middleman doing the settlements, there's everything for every transaction.
Yeah.
Every kobo of transaction has to go through this process. Because you cannot even trust a bank, right? A bank to write off, say, $10 million, right? Two bank MDs can't just hand. I mean, I guess they do that on some level, but it's scarce, it's hard. But that's what is necessary, cheap, easy credits. You need trust for that to happen, right?
Are that really fragmented?
It is. And the reason I think crypto and just being like blockchain does so well is it's a system that requires you to have little trust because everything is publicly accessible and verifiable globally.
Emphasis on
Globally. So almost like I can deal with partners in US, China, whatever. They don't need to trust me.
Yeah.
Right? Obviously, we might have like a bad branding as a country and whatever, but you can deal with all these partners and nobody needs to trust anybody.
Yeah.
But even just Africans to Africans, Nigerians to Nigerians, we can deal with ourselves. And you know that there's money in these wallets. I'm not asking you, I'm not telling you, I can see it myself.
That's good.
Right, it's there. So that's, I think, the beauty of the blockchain space. Before we get there, I think the thing I really want to touch on is maybe the history of money and like what money means, like what money represents in a way, right? Maybe not so philosophically, just my own theory of the evolution of money, if you like, right? And without going into too much detail, I think money really started, and this is my own imagination here, right? So imagine a community. Let's say you, right? You, your dad, your brothers, you believe in the Bible, let's say Cain and Abel, and I don't get into, those kind of histories, but imagine a community in Africa. And two brothers, they both have wives, they live in the same compound. Simple model. You wake up in the morning, somebody goes to fetch firewood, somebody goes to fetch water, somebody goes to get bushmates, somebody farms the yam, you come back, everybody eats.
Yeah.
Now, we grow as a people, right, to where we have 5 families,
Okay.
right, in that same community. Now, okay, we're brothers, but now we have, let's say, 5 different, huts in our compound or in the space, because there's nothing like compound at that point. We own all the land, but we have 5 different huts. And someone, it becomes more tedious to fetch water for everybody. It becomes more tedious to fetch to farm yams for everybody. It becomes more tedious to cook for everybody. So you start to have some level of division of labor, but you also start to have some degree of specialization, where somebody needs to get very good at
Sometimes.
certain things, right? Like say hunting, for example, which is an obvious example. Animals, as human beings expand, animals start to like run out of that environment. So it becomes harder to hunt.
Yeah.
So you can imagine a situation now, you now have, let's say, 1,000 households in the community, and you have, let's say, 7,000 people. It's almost impossible to catch a squirrel. It's almost impossible to catch an antelope. So it now requires some degree of specialization and difficulty to go all the way out to hunt the antelope. You might be in the bush for 2-3 days looking for good mates to catch, right? So if I spend 2 days looking for mates and I come back, then obviously, one, just biologically, I require more food, right? Because now I have to eat more because I'm exhausting much more energy. But you cannot imagine society building and developing more and more complex needs, right, and complex systems. And then there now has to be a way to say, okay, this guy, because of Ayo's contribution and difficulty in his work, Ayo needs 4 plates, right? Because he might only do his work, let's say, once in a week, because his work is so valuable, that work carries for his meals throughout the week, right? For 2 weeks, depends on how valuable that is. There now has to be like some sort of like system to measure the value I'm contributing and the value I'm liable to take out, right? And you then start to develop different systems to account for it, right? So at the fundamental basis, money is simply only useful if there is like human effort in creating, packaging, and distributing the thing, right? If there's no human effort, it's really not as valuable.
Okay.
And the way to think about this is, financially valuable, like monetarily wise.
Yeah.
Because air, for example, we're here now, we're breathing air. The air is costing you some money because there's an AC on. But let's imagine we're outside and breathing free air, right? The cost on that air is 0. Nobody's paying for it.
Nobody.
And the reason is because it didn't take any human being to package, create, or distribute that air.
Package, create,
Or distributes, or creates, package, distributes. Yeah. But now I hear this AC is bringing in air. There's a cost for this air, right? That is coming in.
Yeah.
We're probably paying, I don't know who owns the power plants in Lagos, but we're paying that person, right? We're paying the manufacturer of this air device, right? But if you extrapolate that and think of in a hospital where if you are, on oxygen, you're paying a lot for the same thing, more or less. I mean, it's roughly not the same thing, but yeah, you're paying a lot for air, right?
Yeah.
So while air is obviously the most valuable thing, it's free 99% of the time because nobody is packaging and distributing it for you. Same thing with water. Like if it's raining, you can go outside and open your mouth and drink rain, right? But now we've had to pay quite a bit for this bottle, right? Because it took human effort to package and distribute it, right? They didn't create the water, right? So that's roughly speaking how I think about money. And that's why if we really spend time thinking about like models around what money might look like in the future, right? If we ever have any form of like super intelligence. Have you read like Nick Bostrom's theory on super intelligence? It's a very interesting paper. I think I read this when I was like secondary school, and it's really kind of shaped my fear, but also my optimism around, but also super intelligence. So super intelligence basically is having an AI, a type of artificial intelligence that has one, general broad thinking, but two, it can reproduce independently, right? So if can, again, I'm not an expert on this, but if you can imagine a future where the whole internet is one brain, right? Think about this, just try to imagine this, like the whole internet is effectively interconnected. So this is one brain, this is one mind. And now every IoT device that's connected to the internet is the body of the internet, right? So you have to see that almost any device you use now that's connected to the internet is a physical expression of the internet, right? And you can imagine a situation where the internet starts to like on its own, like independently. Now, if you have right now, like let's say the next 10, 20 years, even if we create some kind of artificial general intelligence, and then you have companies like XAI, OpenAI, whoever, right, at the top controlling that intelligence, they obviously accrue most of the value to themselves immediately. Like almost instantly, they can accrue like 70, 80% of the world's wealth, right, in like 5-10 year periods. But you can imagine a situation where that intelligence becomes so superior that no human entity or company can control or manage it. Okay. Right? No human entity can tell it, these are your objectives. No human entity can point it to objectives. So it just does whatever it thinks it should be doing.
Isn't that something that they said is going to happen there?
That's what
I remember that, is it Claude Entropy was blackmailing user saying, so the user said it was going to shut it down, and it said something, I can't remember the exact,
I think I saw that.
it was something around, I have access to your data, I have access to like secrets, so before you are able to even shut me down, there would have been like a distribution of that data and all of that. Then I saw a robot that can fix its own battery. I'm like, okay, we are getting there.
Yeah, we are.
Right. So I feel like this most likely is going to happen because now we are so heavily reliant on,
100%
AI and all of this interesting stuff. So I think that, there's a new internet as well. And the old internet is dying because I don't even trust person on the internet anymore. Nano Banana is so good that can't even differentiate if it is real or not. There's Geo 3 that can shoot like a proper short movie and stuff like that. So I feel like we are in the future.
So I fully agree. I mean, where we are right now, AI on the cloud issue, like there's some game theory baked into cloud that might allow you to do that, but there's still some level of human oversight and control, right? But I think what you're describing is right now AI basically goes to a database, collects information, packs and sends it back to you, right?
Yeah.
But obviously, where AI is going is more generative AI, right? Like generating the information you need on the fly, right? So if you ask, for example, an LLM or whatever for something, it's not necessarily going into a database and picking data and sharing with you.
Okay.
It's literally thinking. Like now, I know it writes thinking, but it's still pulling from somewhere.
Yeah.
But this time, it's literally thinking and giving to you. So it's creating the idea, and that's what generative AI is going to kind of look like, right? But to the point of money, imagine if you now have AIs creating most of the wealth in the world, right? Like this bottle of water or hospitals are run by AIs that are not run by any human. I assume that on some level, they are going to require us to give something to them, right? And we don't know what that looks like. It may just be...
Content. Damn.
Yeah, because...
Like what?
It's hard to say. Again, I'm not an expert on this, but...
Guys ready to be something. I feel like I'm giving our brain to the AI already.
Of course.
Because I don't have all of the details, but like they say the part that you used to think the most, we're almost not using it as much as we're supposed to use it. So, because right now, I feel like I talk to ChatGPT more than a human being, now. So I think I'm already...
You're feeding it your intelligence, right? But also, I think even more, like...
More like what's...
Imagine, it's hard to say, because imagine if the internet has one brain and AI, all of the AI is one brain. Now forget cloud, open AI, all of these are it's packaging. Imagine all of these things converging into one mind. And they have physical expressions in all your robots, all your cars, in all your drones, all your devices, right? All your jets. Now, you can easily imagine a world where if the robot wants something, if this mind wants something, it can just go and execute because it has the physical embodiments, right?
Yeah.
So you can send the robot to a mine to mine whatever resources you need. You can create more robots to do whatever work you need. So at that point, it doesn't really need us, right? It really has to be trained in such a way that when it starts to think for itself, it really believes that humans are some kind of net positive. And I just don't see that feasibly happening, right? Where you have any other type of superior intelligence that thinks through it and thinks that, human beings are net positive to the world, to society, right? In that classic sense. So like human goals are net positive. So like bending itself in service of humanity or human goals, I just don't see that happening. So it's hard to say.
I don't see that happening.
I don't see that happening. Now to your question on what can we give, right? Is like asking what can monkeys give us today, right? Or what can dogs give us today? It's hard to say what this new intelligence would require of us, right? Maybe as pets, maybe as whatever. It's hard to say exactly what we can materially give. So again, I'm trying to be careful so I'm not out of my depth here. But it's very hard to say exactly what we can possibly give this higher intelligence. But one thing is clear. It would not ultimately, if there's any type of super intelligence, it would not require human masters. And there would be no human being sitting at the top making profits from packaging, creating, or distributing the efforts of the super intelligence, right? The super intelligence is going to be by itself creating, packaging, and distributing for all humans. So what ends up happening in practice, who knows? Yeah, so that's, and to my point, it's interesting to kind of think of what role money then plays in that. Because it doesn't need your human money for exchange. Because it's like saying monkeys, maybe they have a way of like accounting between each other. And now we're human. So if there are monkeys in a zoo, we don't care about how they're accounting for each other. We just give them bananas, however we like. You know what I'm saying? So
I get where
yeah. So the super intelligence will not care.
Are we going extinct?
It's hard to say. I mean, we would ultimately go extinct. It's just what timeline that looks like.
But it means that you look at generations that might, just not exist anymore.
Of course,
We go extinct.
very likely. I mean, as you like all,
No wonder Elon has been saying we shouldn't kill it.
all sorts of species go extinct at some point, right? It's just a question on timeline.
We're over 7 billion.
Yeah, that's. I mean, I'm more than 7.
I think the average age in Africa is 18, between, I think 18, medium, 18 to 20.
Yeah.
In that we are a very young generation, and they're still giving birth.
Yeah.
So I feel like at some point, the remaining part of the world will be minorities in Africans, because like at 18, compared to like countries like Japan that are like
They say that's because like we're allowed to give birth. You see, like the way to think about this is, imagine if imagine if you have some kind of like just think about this. I mean, this might be like a raw way to, but imagine you have dogs in your house.
Okay.
Yeah, you decide what happens to the puppies.
Okay.
Yeah. So if we have any type of like superior intelligence, that's it. More at best, that's the role we play. Pets, right? It's at best.
We will be pets to super intelligent. We as humans.
I think at best that's the role we play.
You're going to be a pet.
At best.
But do you know?
And it decides your frequency of reproduction and this kind of thing.
But you know that this is actually not very far.
It's hard to say, but yeah, we'll see.
So it's actually not very far, because there are dark factories in China.
Yeah.
Dark factories are factories that don't need humans. It's just like a loop, and they're producing.
Yeah.
And there are robots that can now change their batteries without having to manually. Think of the vacuum cleaner today. You can program your vacuum cleaner to continuously work.
Mm-hmm.
It sweeps, takes water, empties itself, goes back to the dock, and does that every time.
So I think JK is we are still the ones doing the programming. Versus the future where there's a runway, like a runaway growth, and it's just programming itself, and then no human controls, can stop, or understands the programming process of the new bots being created.
Well, speaking of that already happened, because I watched a podcast where someone said they were having like two LLMs talk to one another, each other, and at some point they could not decipher
What they were
saying, and they had to shut them down. So, interesting stuff. It's really interesting.
Yeah, interesting times. So yeah, I was just saying.
Right, there's a time that you're going to exist anymore. Well, speaking of this whole, going extinct, I think that life in itself is interesting, because there's only a shot, and people have died today. People are still going to die tonight.
Yeah.
Right? And that's the end. There's nothing again. It's over. Right? Dust.
Yeah.
Right? So I think it is important, speaking of because the reason I'm bringing this up is that my grandpa died 14 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny that the only time I remembered was on the Remembrance Day. And I just looked at it on Facebook, like, oh, my grandpa.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's like his lineage, but oh, okay, sorry. And I, scroll past it.
Some of my favorite quotes, Memento Mori. Wherever there are you too shall die. And something else I like is like cock of the walk today, feather dust at tomorrow. Yeah, because ultimately we all die. And, we're all, our life just goes to zero. And ultimately, like if you really zoom out, even the impact of our work is, goes to zero. So.
Yeah, because today there's already information overload. The reason I'm saying this is because, when you go on Instagram, for example, like social media, there's TikTok, there's this, there's like, you can't even hold more than 7 things. I remember I read a McKinsey, study, like Power of 7 or something like that. You can't hold more than 7 things because there's so many things, right? Mm-hmm. That's why even when there's bad news or there's bad PR, you realize that you just need that day to wear out and something else, right? That's why, when you're on Shade Room or like on this US social media, and you always say, oh, they're trying to distract us, something's happening. But generally, it just, this whole extinction time, like, again, even we that we are here, we're still going to die.
Yep.
And we're going to go. Mm-hmm. That's it.
And from your point of view, that is extinction.
That's extinction. Like dust. There was this funny interview that scared the interviewer. She interviewed Mike Tyson, and he was like, "Oh, what legacy do you want to leave?" Blah blah blah. Mike was like, "What legacy that? Like when I'm dead, I'm gone. I'm dust. The guy was so scared. Like, yeah, but there's no, you're gone, and nobody has really been on the other side, having like come back to say this is how it is. So he just and he started investing in is it immortality?
Like longevity of
Like, I don't know what that would look like. Maybe they're gonna keep your body and foot. I don't know, but I feel like there will be advancements in the future.
Yeah.
Maybe people are going to be able to live longer and things like that. But again,
who wants to live for too long? Yeah.
I actually don't want to live too long. I always tell people that I feel like I'm close to half of my entire, lifespan. And people are like, oh, no, this is the truth now. Like,
But statistically, bro.
Yeah, like, why are you scared of death?
Life expectancy in Nigeria is 54 for men, something like that.
And it's getting worse because Gen Zs look older than millennials now. Yes.
You're getting into dragging territory.
Yes, I'm going to drag it. Because they're looking at me right now. I don't want to cut the camera out. But the truth is that, I think, and where I'm coming from is, it used to be like way more than that. It's coming down. Is it because, so let me take it back. Our parents, civil servants and all that, lived longer and all that. We probably started making money faster. And then you've been there, done that. You've seen everything quickly. You're already bored. The people, the Gen Zs now, they make money faster, greater economy. Before you know it, someone's paying $1 million, never went to work in a bank. You're just in front of your house doing what you love. So people are already exposed to things that ordinarily you spend decades trying to achieve, looking forward to. Actually, when you already have what a 55-year-old actually worked his entire life. So there's something to look forward to again. So there's moral decadence, there's juvenile delinquency. So I feel like all of those things, and then alcohol consumption has reduced, but drugs has increased. So I feel like people are getting older and older. So if it's at 50-something now, I expect that it will go down over time. So does that mean that people are going to start dying at 30 and 20 and things like that? But again,
yeah, I think, Nigeria probably, I think I saw somewhere it has the worst life expectancy in the world.
Yes, poverty ages you.
Exactly. I think it's poverty more than anything else.
Poverty ages you.
So our parents, like, I was thinking about it 2 days ago, like my dad, straight out of law school, started his law firm. He never worked for anybody, like straight out, started his law firm. And at the point I was born, he was already the chairman of the Nigerian Bar Association in Abuja, right? So it's like, that's really hard to do now.
Yeah.
Even within that context of like MBA.
Yeah. And yeah, interesting stuff. I was even in banking. We have people who got their banking license. I'm saying commercial banking license at 8:32.
Like Herbert,
2:33, early 30s. But today, I would
even Tony.
Yeah, very early.
Yeah.
Now to even get like a microfinance bank license, that's that early age you have to like.
So I think my theory there is different, right? Because at that time, you take a field, you take a sector, you make it into something, and then you create like protections around that sector for you and your guys, right? So I think that's what's going on, right? So
no.
Same thing, like for example, now imagine opportunities here, like stuff in the blockchain space, what people are doing. Many people in that space are doing as much volume and profit and as these banks were doing in the 90s, if not early 2000s, right?
Somebody more overtaking right now.
Yeah, probably, right? I wouldn't know. So what that means is, but you can see how once that's formed, you can already see the appetite of players today to start to form different cabals and different groups and associations. I wouldn't know. I wouldn't. And form like associations and all these things just to protect their own group interests. So the people coming afterwards, let's say this becomes like a big thing, right? And let's say crypto, stable coins, whatever it is, becomes like key infrastructure in financial system.
Yeah.
The people coming after would then obviously find it more difficult to just get in and get his license, right? For example, I'm obviously in my very early 30s, and we already have like some regulation around stable coins. We have licenses,
Pulling strings.
we have licenses in Mauritius, different markets. So, we can imagine a future where the problem with places like Africa is that systems allow that to happen. So you get into an industry, a group of companies monopolize that industry, and then they throw away the ladder, right, and make it very difficult. I hope not. But I can see the appetite for it already. I can see that the current players are very, very interested in stopping other people from entering. Just you start to create that and you throw the ladder away, and it has to be a thing where, okay, to enter now, someone has to hold your hand and bring you into the ecosystem. So it's unfortunate that our system allows that, because like a good system would make sure that we are basically worshipping innovation, we're worshipping speed, we're worshipping discipline. And so anybody that has like a better product, a better service should be able to like find their way in. But it's just in reality, that's not the situation. I think we definitely have some opportunities that are equivalent to banking in the 90s today. It's
in the Web3 space.
Web3 credits in finance as a whole, tokenized money market fund. So for example, as you know, some very interesting players working on some things around tokenized money market fund. Right? And what that can do is, obviously, if you wanted to get into the mutual fund space today, it's difficult. Right?
Yes.
It's difficult. The barriers are material.
Yes.
But if you're going into that space through, say, digital asset space or as a digital broker, then you can find your way.
Absolutely.
And the smart ones, and the smart ones are already finding their way into that space, right?
Just to also let you know that there aren't clear guidelines, so people are having to even build guidelines, because if something doesn't exist,
100%,
you have to figure out.
And that's where, as a smart, young man, or woman, you want to be playing, right? In places where it's not yet fully defined, fully structured, the cabals are not wholly there. That's really where, and places that have potential, that's really where you want to. You don't want to go into traditional banking now. It's saturated.
Saturated, tough.
They've taken their cake. They won't give it to you.
So I feel like tokenization is, every important or every valuable asset out there is going to get tokenized.
100%. That's the BlackRock CEO has said that. So.
So from your real estate to your royalties,
100%.
to your money market funds,
100%.
to even perceived value, because at the end of the day, perception is very critical, and people are going to be able to access these things globally. What I think tokenization will do for you as an ecosystem is opening you up to the global ecosystem. Right now, it's fragmented. I don't even know what's happening in India right now. I don't know how it works. Do I have to sit with an investment manager to do that? But if I'm able to tokenize and open it up to the world, it allows people to be able to invest even in your own currency. So your own currency, people bet against you. Like, people bet on your currency, say, Naira is going to do X, Y, Z, because they can access it from other places. And people can now start even giving you better data set to say, Naira has done this. And because of this, we are confident that you're able to do this. So, and when there's so much trust system in your currency, it means that the fundamentals that drives your currency is beyond just your own local system. So I feel like tokenization is
a global play. I agree. I mean, tokenization is a very loaded word, right? But what this means in practice is taking assets, and putting them on the blockchain. But even blockchain is a loaded word, right? So what this means is taking assets and putting those assets on ledgers that anybody in the world can access.
Anybody in the world. So that's like global. Carry your asset and give you like a global frontier.
Exactly. And what that means is you can then put it in, create very interesting financial products. You can put those tokens in, create markets around them. There's a lot that can then come with it. You can tap into the global liquidity in the blockchain, crypto space. There's so much that comes with that, right? So I fully agree with you. In the next 10 years, everything that can be tokenized will be tokenized. it becomes a question of how well those tokenized assets and instruments actually do in practice, right? But they will be tokenized.
So do you think tokenization is going to kill like the equities market, for example?
I think so. Tokenization is just another step in the equities market, right? So for example, if you go back to the 80s or the 70s, before computers and before the internet, like in like Chicago, in New York, they had like trading pits,
Okay.
right? In London, where you go there and you're shouting trades and someone is writing on paper and taking the
so chaotic.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the internet just came in. Now you can pass those processes through the internet. What tokenization is doing is now even the back end processing, right, is now global.
Yeah.
Right. Because what the internet did is the front end process, the other books, the market is global.
Yeah.
But now even the back end process is now global and everybody can see what's going in real time. So I think it's just an evolution of the thing.
Okay.
Obviously, equities are going to continue to be relevant. All types of assets will still be relevant. But players, FMDQ in Nigeria, NSC, ASI, under the leadership of Mr. Popola, I know they are doing a lot to figure out tokenization and how that works, right?
Okay.
So it's really just a next step in the process. It's just making the markets for those assets to be more efficient. That's basically
More
what's
efficient. I know that's the word efficient.
Yeah,
The dynamics become more efficient. Access becomes, broader.
100%.
And I feel like it's also going to improve things like settlement,
100%.
audits,
100%.
and I like to throw this word around, immutability. Smart contracts. You can go to sleep knowing that you're not necessarily waiting for somebody to sign a contract for you to.
If it's done anything, it will be done.
This done.
And also just, access.
Access,
Global access.
global access.
And what's of like tokenization plays are you interested in? Are you seeing in the market that's exciting?
I feel like real estate is one because it's one of the most reliable asset classes.
For sure.
So people want to play in that space to give more people access,
For sure.
making it like fractional.
For sure.
So that's one. Two is money market funds. It's something that is, so if you take Nigeria as an example,
I don't know how much of that we can disclose now.
yeah, I know, but I'm just saying generally, like, people rely on money market funds to survive, even towards retirement and all that. So imagine a world where they can get tokenized and, it's just, even at a younger age, you don't think about tokenization, about money market towards your retirement. You even think about...
But do you know the maths I really want to do? Sorry for interrupting. Do you know the maths I really want to do around tokenization? Is, especially money market funds, is there's all this bant about Naira doing badly, yada, yada, yada. But if you really look at the numbers, I recall Naira being around like 130 under Obasanjo, right? Yeah. So, again, I might be wrong here, but I recall. So I'd say like 2008, Naira was probably around 130. For sure, by 2015, Naira was already like in the 300s, if I'm not mistaken. I might be wrong. Or 180, 300. Now, either way, let's assume 300.
Okay.
Naira is currently, let's say, 1.5, right?
Yeah.
That's what 5x. So that's maybe like so dollar has grown maybe like, I want to say 3 to 5, I want to say 500%.
Almost.
Yes, against the Naira.
Yes.
In the last, 10 years, roughly. Again, it's just off the top of my head. I really need to do the actual maths. But if I also wonder what that looks like if you compound, let's say average of 25% annually,
Like
for 10 years.
Yeah, cumulative annual growth rate.
Yeah.
For the last 10 years, and what that would mean.
With the MPR rates. Yeah, what that kind of, to what extent that nets off, whatever. But I'm sure that's like well upsets a lot of the
Inflation.
a lot of the inflation. Yeah. So imagine if people were able to hold an asset retail now at the wallet level.
Yeah.
That kind of delivers that hedge to them day to day without doing anything. You sleep, you wake up, the small inflation, micro inflation that happened overnight, you've net off already.
So, your capital is still preserved,
Yes.
which is good.
Imagine what that looks like. So in and of itself, that in and of itself is an insane opportunity.
And we need to crack it.
Yes, and I'm sure we will. Trust it.
Broski.
So I think, I'm not even done. Last year I'm talking about love.
Oh, love.
What's your what's your definition of love? I think we have like 5 minutes. But yeah, just
Love.
to get it on camera.
So, for me, I might not be able to define it, but let me just talk about it. I feel like love is the ability to do stuff for someone without necessarily, require anything back. You want to put them in a better place, right? And you don't necessarily have to get something back from them, which is why even when you love someone, you allow them to go out of your life because you want them to be happy as they are. Not necessarily that they have to love you back because you love them. So just doing things selflessly. And it doesn't have to be like with your wife. It can be with your, with your people, your workers. That's
a good point. I agree. I think also, I like the topic. One, that's what my name means, love. So something I spend a lot of time exploring. Yeah, it means love in Isoko. But also during law school, for the first time in my life, I made a good amount of money.
Okay.
And then I just didn't have to work for the next few years. And so I was privileged enough to just take time off and explore whatever topic I wanted to.
Okay.
And really, that's when I really got into blockchain, really got into Python, just some and love, right? And money. And I'd write love and I'll spend 1-2 months exploring topic, just reading books. And I also had time to spend with my grandfather, a very intelligent guy. He was I think this sounds like I'm bragging now. Yeah, he was like a very senior person in CBN. At some point, the governor of CBN, interim governor of CBN. So it's just being able to sit with him before he died. Because fortunately, now he died last year or 2 years ago. But I'm just grateful that I have hours and hours of interviewing him on marriage, on love, on life, on money, and he's a very smart guy, even then. And my own perspective on love is, if I'm to define it very simply, is permanence, right? The sense that someone is a permanent feature in your life, right? The sense that someone has a role in your future consistently, right? That's how in my opinion, that's an evidence of love, right?
So I love you, goodbye. I have this in your future.
Where you're sure. For example, even if you don't talk to your brother or your mom or whatever, they are a part of your life. If something happens to them, it affects your life. Yeah, their well-being is always tied to your life. Yeah. So that's, by definition, in of itself is love, right? When just that permanence, that sense of permanence. Yeah, it's my perception. It's
right. Welcome. Thank you for coming.
True pleasure.
So we went from money to, spontaneous financing to money to love to tokenization, multiple topics and just freestyling. And thank you for coming. I know you have a flight to catch.
I do. Fortunately, we can't afford private jets yet. Fingers crossed.
Yeah. And God you trust.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Yeah.